Welcome to episode 97 of the Inventive Marketing Club. We're here every week to help you build a better marketing strategy. Joining us today is Kyla from the Café, and we're going to be looking at the importance of messaging and discussing the importance of good copy, what it is, and how that interacts with design, whether it's design of a website or design of a book. So Kyla, hello, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for inviting me to join you.
No, my pleasure. It's been, we were introduced by Helen Caldicott, and we'd had a few conversations and thought actually there's a lot of interest in your Copy Cafe. I really like the idea behind it. So I personally want to find out more about how that works, but also your take on copy and how you work with people. And, actually in the conversations we've had prior to this, actually there's a lot of topics where we're absolutely aligned on it. And I think for me, that helps when I'm developing a website. Copy is so important. It's where we start. I'm not a copywriter, and I find words hard, but I know they are so important when you're building a website, because that's what makes it sing. That's really what people are looking for. That's where all the detail is and the information is. So I'm glad to have you on to sort of hammer that point home and maybe go through a few tips that are going to help people on that journey.
Great.
So maybe to start, would you just give a little bit of a background, who you are, where you come from, and then we'll get into the good stuff.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So I'm an experienced freelance copywriter. I've been running my business, the Jarrah Consultancy, for 20 years now. Just celebrated that 20th anniversary last month.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It does seem like half a lifetime. I work with a small portfolio of direct clients and creative agencies, mainly on strategic positioning, strategic copywriting work. So lots of messaging, lots of brand positioning work, typically with larger brands. So the likes of Subaru, EDF Energy, Dell Technologies, Burgess Super Yachts.
Right.
I've worked with those. So, I've got a portfolio packed full of that kind of work. And alongside that consultancy work, a few years back, I launched Copy Cafe to effectively bring those 20 years of expertise to small business owners as well, in a very flexible and cost-effective way for small business budgets. Because, I am a small business owner. I totally understand the temptation to do everything yourself. I've been there, done that, sometimes still struggle with it. But you know what? When you need help with something, it makes so much sense to go out there, find the expert for the job, get them to help you, work with you, or do it for you, whichever your preference is, and just get it done right first time. So you're not circling back around and spending more money than you need to do, and it's not right first time. So Copy Cafe is all about helping small business owners understand and learn how they can use personality and impact in their writing to help their business stand out. And it's effectively tailored support. So no two businesses are the same. Certainly their owners aren't the same. We're all very highly individualistic people with our own personalities. We need to make sure those personalities match what our businesses are putting out there in a way that helps us promote our expertise in a commercial way that'll bring in sales, but sounding authentic and feeling natural and easy whilst doing it.
Yeah, which
that's not as easy as it sounds.
No,
actually.
It isn't. No, I mean, I think, and like a lot of people might find this, when you're starting to write, it might come out overly formal and stuffy, and not what you're not doing is getting the personality across, which often is easy to do. Certainly with these workshops and that I do, or webinars that I do, it's a lot easier for that to come out because I'm very practiced at talking, but I'm not practiced at writing, and I think many people aren't. And it's nice to get that knowledge from someone who has been doing it for a long time, has had great experience with lots of different companies and lots of different areas, and is able to really save you a lot of time. I'd like to dig into the Copy Cafe a little bit more and just find out about, you've got a couple of case studies on some clients, so it'd be good to talk about that. But perhaps we could step back a little bit. Sure. And just, what is good copy? Is there a way of defining what that is? And when we, it's sort of when you read it, it feels right. And to me, good copy is something where you're not overly thinking about the words. They communicate and flow, and you don't have to think about that process. Would you agree, or have you got a better definition?
Yeah, absolutely. Good copy to you as the writer is something that feels natural and easy. Ultimately, it's something that connects well with your ideal clients. And in whatever format that might take, as long as it's talking to your audience and they're engaging with it, and hopefully responding in a positive way, that's good copy. So
Yeah.
it could be ad copy, it could be very salesy, it could be long form copy, it could be, I don't know, a white paper, it could be a website, it could be a video script. That's writing, right? You ultimately speak it out loud, but most times we'll make notes for ourselves before coming on video. Whatever format it is, as long as it connects with your audience, in my mind, that's good copy.
Yeah, and it's building that connection. And I don't know if have you got any examples of something that is bad copy, or what would be considered bad copy, and maybe how you might think about improving that?
Well, I'm smiling. I'm on a bit of a mission to banish bland business writing. So in my mind, anything that is bland, boring, what I call a bit ploddy, just very generic. You know, it doesn't say anything particularly special about you. We can probably all think of several small businesses in the same sector, the same types of customers, who all sound the same, basically. And they're all saying, oh, you know, we do this, we do that, we work here, we can also do that. There's nothing specifically talking to that audience and saying, look, I know you've got these challenges. Absolutely, we can help you with this. We've got the solution. And actually, this is what we're like as people to work with as well. It's an age-old thing. People, when they, I mean, you touched on it earlier, when they start writing, because it's the written word, so many people feel that it has to be formal, which makes it feel very stuffy. And they write in the way that they started to learn how to write at school.
Oh gosh,
but
so many times when we've got copy back from clients, the sentence at for the homepage starts, "We at such and such a company do," and it's like, what? You know, this is not how you talk to me. I'm like, who is this person? And
presumably they visited your website already, so they're familiar with what you do. Otherwise, they wouldn't be on the website. Yeah, no, it's a difficult one. So many people do that. I mean, even think back to a networking event when you're asked to pitch your business, or to give a 60-second introduction.
Yeah.
So many people start off with, well, this is what I do. And they're basically saying that is me, but you're not what you do. You are how you do it. You are you and how you deliver your service, which happens to be this. So I think, you know, trying to spin things turn things on a head a little bit and come across with that personality and your approach first before the what you do.
And why do you think people regress to that? Is it confidence, that they lack confidence to really express themselves, and so they just regress to providing facts, the basic features of what they do, rather than really connecting with their
exactly
audience?
That. I think, and you know, most small business owners haven't been taught how to do this. So they revert to what they know, which is what we all learned at school. Is to start with a what, where, when type of stuff, rather than the how and the why. So yeah, it does take a little bit of effort to step outside that comfort zone for a lot of people. But when you do make that step, you realize the difference that it makes. And sometimes it can be tiny little things, make a massive difference to how a sentence can sound. And yeah, you see it instantly. And obviously your reader, your ideal client, hopefully, will appreciate that impact as well.
And so the outcome we want from this is we want to connect better with our audience, so they feel like we understand them and take action, whatever that may be. I mean, that's, I guess, the difference between just writing words that could be interesting and compelling, but copy, generally, you want people to take action. It's used to drive someone to do something. Yeah, persuasive, exactly. And I think that's the key thing. A lot of people miss as well. Again, they're giving factual information. It's like, yeah, okay, that's fine. But they're not really driving the desire. And I'm not about creating desire where there is none. I'm about sort of igniting almost the fire that people have inside themselves to do something, you know, helping them come up to the edge and move forward, rather than going, it's all too complicated, I'm not going to do anything. And really, that's what you want. If you have a product that you believe in, or a service you believe in, and you truly know it's going to help that person, you just want to help them buy it. And it's about helping them overcome any obstacles, and not in a slimy salesman way, but actually just helping them do that and walk through that process with them.
Yeah, show them how they can work with you, show them how they can come closer to you, step into your world, get to know you. Yeah, it's all about that know, like, trust, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And you were saying about bringing that the personality of the business or the individual, depending on how large they are, into it. Why is that important? That personality side of it. Could we not still achieve something which isn't just overly formal and is still driving people to action, but not include the personality? Or do you think you need that? That's the way we build connection.
Yeah, I would argue that 9 times out of 10, the personality is required, because the world is such a busy, noisy place, isn't it? I mean, just think about the number of websites you could visit if you wanted to buy XYZ widget. How would you then choose between the 10 options in front of you? I bet it comes down to chemistry and personality. Yeah. And maybe you like the look of a particular website over another. Maybe you like the sound of some words on a particular website over another. Or you like the fact that people have got smiling faces rather than just sort of standard business shots. That it comes down to personality at the end of the day. That's how we all operate, how we choose our friends, how we choose who we do business with. So yeah, I think it's all important. And it doesn't have to be blindingly obvious. It could be a very subtle personality. But it's that, to me, that differentiates. It's all.
And I guess, sorry, Kyla, and I guess it's also about it's certainly if you're an individual and you're a consultant in some way or a freelancer, I would assume that personality needs to reflect that person. If you are working quite intimately with your clients, then when people visit the website, the person they meet on the website in the words, well, even if you haven't got images on there, but in the words, that should be you when you meet them on Zoom or on the phone or in person. There should be no, in terms of your brand, that should feel exactly the same all the way through. It shouldn't feel any different. So it's not about just having like I'm really enthusiastic online, but in person I'm not. I don't. You can't have that. It's got to feel the same. Would you agree?
Totally, Ben. Yeah, absolutely. You don't want that disconnect, because it jars. If you then meet that person who's been super bubbly online, meet them in person and they're just regular energy, then it just creates that little bit of uncertainty in someone's mind. Or if you come across as, I don't know, how would it be, maybe again very personality driven online perhaps, but then you jump on a discovery call with someone and they're really quite bland and monotone and they want to get straight into the detail and they aren't really that interested in you. That's going to raise a couple of red flags, isn't it? So,
yeah, because you're like, I bought this company, this person, I'm getting this, and it's not. That doesn't feel right. It's a bit. I find it even with emails as well. I used to be, when I was first starting out, I would be very formal and try and do everything in a proper business way. But now I'm like, I have to. Sometimes I find myself going back to that, and I'm like, no, I'll just be me. I put smiley faces on there. I will. Simplify the language in the way that I would communicate with them, rather than don't write too much, have quite short, brief emails, because that's the way I would like to receive them. That's how I like to communicate, and that feels better to me, and I think I get a better reaction. And actually, if people don't like that, that's good, because then I'm not attracting the wrong people. I'm actually getting people who like that, and hopefully the relationship will build stronger because of that, because I'm at least being authentic, to use that word a lot of people use, but I'm being honest about who I am. And I think for me that's important, but it's hard. It is hard. I often find that I have to sort of restrain.
That's the core of branding, isn't it? That brand experience has to be constant. So yes, how you sound in your emails, how you sound on your website, how you sound when you speak on the phone, and when you meet people in person, it has to be the same all the way through. And that's whether you are running your own business or whether you're representing another business. There's no point sounding a certain way in a larger business email, for example, and then turning up to meet a potential client in person and not representing those same values. So,
yeah, absolute brand. And it's a lot of people think brand is visual. It's the logo. It's not. It's ideally what people say about you when they talk about other people. And I think a lot of that does come from copy. I mean, I can't remember if we spoke about it earlier or before the recording, but for me, copy is so important when you're developing the website, that really that everything stems from that. Just sort of taking this a little bit further, I mean, we've moved sort of what good copy and then personality. There's a nice little sentence on your website here, which is start writing copy that makes you and others smile. For me, that's where maybe I look at this more because of what I do, but when you watch a film or a TV series or listen to a podcast or read something, even if it's just a news article, and it makes you feel, whether it's smile, that could be the reaction you want, or to feel sad, or to feel more engaged, or to, you know, whatever the emotion is, that to me makes that piece of writing or media so much stronger. It connects you, it makes it more interesting because of that, because it makes you feel something.
Yeah, absolutely. It gives you an edge, doesn't it?
And it does. How do you do that though?
Well, yeah, how long is a piece of string?
Yeah,
it's not always immediately obvious. Sometimes it requires a little bit of digging around. Sometimes it's a little gem. I mean, the sentence I've got there, it ties in with the smiley coffee images I use. I'm known as quite a smiley person, so it ties in really well. But yeah, you want to evoke a sense of emotion, preferably positive rather than negative. You want to ignite that little flame, going back to what you were saying earlier, just a flicker of something in your reader, in the way that they react to your copy, because that will set you apart again. It's very intangible, but you want to be able to give yourself an edge through the words and the language you use. And it could be as simple as switching out a couple of words, or choosing slightly more exciting words over others, or chopping up a sentence to make it much more punchy and punctuated for that sort of staccato impact. There's lots of different sort of tips and tricks for doing it, and it really depends on the individual that you're working with, the business you're working with, and their audience as well, and what they would want to see and what they would expect to see to a degree, and also what they don't expect to see. You have to consider that as well.
But is that something you'd help people with, in terms of understanding who it is they're trying to communicate with, and what the sort of desired actions would be? Because I'd imagine that's important for you to know.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's the first question. You know, who is it that you're trying to reach out to here? And absolutely, most businesses will be able to tell you that. But because of my background, I'm basically a very curious individual. It helps me with my copywriting work. I'm full of questions, and I'll never be shy of asking them, because it all gives me loads of background information and a really good feel for the sort of writing I'm about to embark on, or to help other people embark on. And yeah, you want to, if you tell me that you work with a certain type of business, for example, I won't stop there. I'll need to know a bit more about them, and I'll need to know the positives and the negatives, you know, how they feel about saying this versus that. And you want to sort of work with that negative space as well, so you know what you're moving away from, and get a really good feel for how they are likely to react, and what those little emotional triggers might be, perhaps. You know, what are the pain points? Obviously, perhaps, but maybe even more subtle pain points. How would you move someone into uncertainty, for example? You know, what will be their barriers to immediately signing a contract with you, or buying something online from your website? There are always those emotional challenges and little hesitances that you need to overcome. So
yeah, and it might be about knowing how far to push your clients, because it might be, yeah, okay, I can put my personality out and I can be me, but maybe I do want more motivated clients. I want clients who can make decisions, who can move forward. And actually, it might be that you want to push that in your writing, push quite hard against that, and that might put some people off. But then you might be getting just the people who you want, who are, yes, you're going to get fewer leads coming through, but the leads you get, your conversion rate might skyrocket, because you're just getting the people who really find something intriguing in that and go, yeah, I like that style. I feel that's for me.
You get that connection, don't you?
Yeah.
That sense of connection. It's the right people for you. You're making the right impression on them, and they'll be the right fit, hopefully, for years to come. Yeah, exactly.
So I think you mentioned you've got some examples from clients in the Coffee Café about moving them forward in terms of their journey of copy. Are you able to share any of those to sort of illustrate how it works?
So let me have a think. I mean, we mentioned Helen earlier. I'm sure she won't mind me saying that she's actually the longest standing member of Copy Café.
Is she?
And she originally came to me because she wanted to, she's a website designer. She wanted to be able to write in a clear and concise way for her largely SME clients. And she wanted to be feeling more confident about that. So she does a lot of writing for her clients because, as we all know, some clients take ages to provide copy for a website that's being built.
Oh my God, do they?
Sometimes Helen decides to tackle the writing herself for her clients. So she needs to be able to adapt different tones of voice and understand how that all works. So she needs a degree of confidence there. But then also in developing her own work, her own website and her own blogs to promote her own business, she wanted to be able to add a bit more personality and impact in terms of how she did that. She always felt that her writing was okay, but nothing really special. And yeah, she's been working with me, and absolutely, we can both see that that's had a massive impact, and she feels far more positive about it all and much more confident, and you can see elements of her personality coming through, and that's worked really well for her business.
Yeah, because I know I've known Helen for a long time. We used to do some workshops together, and she's a very fun person when she's delivering workshops. She's always up for a laugh, and I think that is important that she gets that across. So I think that's something where it can be sort of stunted a little bit if you're not confident about it.
It was exactly what we said earlier. She started writing quite a formal way, and you didn't get any sense of that bubbly personality that's there. Which was a shame, but that's changed now. Someone else who is a consultancy member within Copy Café, she is a business and life coach, had been doing life coaching for quite some time, recently added business coaching into that, working with small business owners. And she was really struggling with how to communicate that balance in positioning her business, I guess, and was really quite torn. One day she'd come to you and say, no, I'm going to focus on the life coaching bit. The next day, completely swung around overnight, and she wanted to focus on the business coaching and really didn't know how to meld the two. So we did a bit of work around that, and actually we've come up with a fantastic positioning that brings both together in a really impactful way, and just really solidifies the joint offering, because small business owners, as well as I do, business is life and life is business, right?
Yeah.
So they are intrinsically combined.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we've come up with a stronger joint positioning. I've recently worked with her on a new LinkedIn headline, which is working well, and reworked the about section of her LinkedIn page just recently. Which is now speaking directly to her ideal client, which she never would have dreamed. She loves it, but she never would have dreamed of doing that for herself, because that would have taken her so far outside her comfort zone. So that's worked really well. And that aspect was pretty much more of a done for you service. I took what she had previously and added in elements that I'd learned from our previous conversations, and presented her with what I thought would work really well. And yeah, she loves that. So we're going to be working through other aspects of her promotional activity. And then let me just think of a different example. So a few members use me for sort of sounding board work almost. It's the case, again, as small business owners, if we're running our own business, often we're working in a bit of a vacuum. We don't have that extra person in the office that we can just bounce our ideas around. And we can use business friends for that. But sometimes it's really useful to speak to someone like me who doesn't know so much about your business and can ask those curious questions, sometimes difficult questions, and really dig deeper into what's making your audience tick and where you need to be positioning your business and how you need to be expressing what you do, explaining what you do in a way that creates that emotional connection and really hits home, which will ultimately help you grow your business. So a lot of members just use me for that sounding board initially to work out what they need to be saying and how they need to be saying it. And then that rolls out into other work. So there's another member I have in mind who I did exactly that with her. She sells kitchen gadgets. So it's product based rather than service. And she has different customer types, different customer segments. So we worked on some segmentation with her and came up with descriptions for each of these customer types, which simplified everything and made it much more easy to identify as a potential customer where you would sit in this world and what your needs were as a customer and how this particular kitchen gadget would help change your life, basically. So we worked on that, and then subsequently I've helped her with her website copy. We've developed a quiz together that helps potential customers identify where they are and how this gadget can help them. And yeah, she basically uses me now ongoing for emails and just getting her voice across. She tends to be quite wordy. The words are good, but there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
So she knows that she can rely on me to cut through them.
Yeah.
And
Don't need that.
Yeah, exactly. Still communicate what needs to be communicated, but in a way that feels very much her. I know her tone of voice. I can write something and people would think that it was her writing it. And that works very well. She's just like, here's the idea for this. Can you just do it for me? So that works particularly well as well. So, Copy Café is all about whatever you need, as you need it, when you need it. So there's no sort of set menu. You can pick and choose things, but you can basically come to me as a business owner and say, look, I'm struggling with this or that, or I need this or that. I just need some help, a helping hand, or actually I'd much rather you just did it for me. Thank you very much. Whatever you need as and when you need it. It's kind of on tap copywriting support for small business owners. So there's, no two businesses are the same, like I said before. So it's
not that you've got a master program that you sort of feed out and everyone runs through that. It's about, people can sort of dip in and out of what they need. They can get support from you and advice and help, or they can say, actually, on this occasion, are you able to write that for me?
Sometimes it's just some initial ideas and that sort of brainstorming type thing. I have a particular brand of brain after 20 years in this game. So, sometimes you just need that different perspective. And it's very much sort of having a bit like a phone a friend option, having a professional copywriter in your back pocket, and just being able to whip that out and go, actually, you know what, I'm just stuck. I've been staring at my screen for half an hour and I've bored myself rigid. Can you just give me half an hour of your time?
Well, yeah, because sometimes you get stuck. You get in a hamster wheel and you're just going round and round, and you need someone to say, have you thought about this? And that can open up that pathway, and off you go. And it's actually fine. In fact, actually, I had something similar, not copy related, but visual related when we were preparing something for our 100th episode. I was talking with Claire about it, and we're kind of stuck. How are we going to move forward and make it interesting? And so we just toyed with this one idea, which I won't ruin into surprise now. And that just unlocked that pathway for me. And I've definitely seen that with clients or had that with copy ourselves, where once we've unlocked something, which we didn't see, it's almost like we're blind to it. Yep. Just because someone didn't just put an idea out there or ask a probing question. Because for you, I think some people, especially when they know you very well, they don't necessarily want to ask questions because they think, well, either I should know this, or you've probably gone down that avenue before, whereas you're like, no, I'll just ask all the questions, and however dumb they might appear, they're not, because they can always uncover that little gem and unlock a pathway, and then that's it. Your creativity is away and running away with itself.
Yeah, absolutely that. Yeah.
So just sort of wrap us up. So I've got two things I want to look at here. If people are they just want to get started in terms of writing better copy, what apart from joining your Copy Café, and I want to just touch on the small specifics of that in a minute, but have you got any, how should people get started? Is there any resources online? Have you got anything that you could share with people that are just going to sort of help give them some breakthrough ideas and get them thinking in a slightly different way, so they can improve what they do?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so there is a resource library within Copy Café. Some of those resources are available for free if you have a look at the Copy Café website. I send out a top tip every week to members, and these are available on a monthly basis for free subscribers. So by all means, please do subscribe and grab those. Some of the tips are all about how you write as much as what you write. One of the best tips, I think, for getting started is literally just to start and treat your screen as maybe a screen, or maybe a voice memo works better for other people. I naturally turn to writing first. You might turn to speaking first, Ben. But whatever works for you, whether it's a voice memo or, a blank Word document, whatever, literally just do a brain dump of what you think you might like to say. 9 times out of 10, it'll change, but just get it out of your head onto whatever medium. And then you can play around with it later, because once you've got something to be looking at, listening to, you can then start to shape your thoughts, and it might go off in a completely different direction from what you originally imagined.
Yeah.
But get something to be looking at. There's no point whatsoever staring at a blank screen, because that cursor will taunt you for hours potentially.
It will.
If you're trying to write that brilliant first line, then just ignore that. Jump in halfway down what you think you're going to write, or jump in with a call to action, or play around with some headline options and give yourself a few to think about and play with. And then on the back of that, you'll find the creative juices start flowing and the words will follow.
And I absolutely agree. And I have to push myself to do that, because I will self-edit as I go, and I'll start writing something and I go, oh, that's not right. And I have to hold back and say, just type it out. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I have that when I'm creating presentations. And in the end, I just go, right, I'm just going to bang down. These are the key things I want to touch on. And then while I'm done that, now that's unlocked, my brain is starting to think of other things, and I can then throw all these bullet points will go in, and then I can start putting them into Keynote and separating them out. And then it flows once you start flowing. But it's the hardest bit is to start. And then when you start, don't edit it. Just get it down.
Yeah, there's a little rule. So if you imagine something like 20% of your time writing, and that is literally brain dumping, getting those words on the screen, then the bulk of it, 70%, is editing time, playing around with things, chopping things around, changing words around, finessing it. And then you need the 10% to proofread it and make sure it actually makes sense before you release it on the world. But yeah, the 20% is quite a small amount of time, actually. When people think about, oh, I need to write, I don't know, a LinkedIn post, or I need to write the about page for my website, they think of it as a writing task. Actually, it's far easier to think of it as an editing task. So spend 20% of your time, just write stuff. Doesn't matter whether it's accurate or not, or exactly what you want to end up saying. Just get things out there, give yourself something to look at, a flavor of what you think it might be, and then spend the bulk of your time editing it and making sure that it's right, and it's got the key elements, it's got the clarity, it's got the personality, it's got the impact, it's speaking to your audience. And that's a good way to get started.
Yeah, and try not to mix them up. So just do the sort of writing dumping process, the brain dump first, and then the editing, and then the proofing, sort of quite discreet. Just touching on
a couple of days between it, that's perfect.
Oh, yes. I mean, that's a great tip anything creative that you do, give it that breathing space, because your brain will have worked on it in the background while you're sleeping, while you're brushing your teeth or whatever. And then you come back to it, you'll have insight. Just touching on that, and we've talked about this in another call, and I know we don't want to run long on this, but I just wanted to mention it. A lot of OpenAI and a lot of AI chatbots and text generation, it's potentially seen as, this can write copy for you, and indeed it can to some degree. How good it is, well, that's up to the reader, and often it is bland. It's very factual, but I have found a lot of people using it as a way of just getting something out. So they're not starting with a blank sheet of paper anymore, so to speak. They are editing. So they're just getting some content. It doesn't really matter what it is, but it's roughly what they want to say, and then editing. Do you think that's a good process, or do you still think it's better just to dump it from your brain, or whatever works? Maybe
it's whatever works for you. Absolutely. It's great as a ideas generator, as a starting point to give you something to look at. If you've got specific ideas yourself, then if you're able to, I'd say, do it yourself, because that would be more genuine, be more true to you. But yeah, if you're absolutely up against it and that blank screen is taunting you, then jump into ChatGPT, ask it a couple of questions. You'll need to ask it a couple of questions for sure, and see what it gives you. But just be aware that it will largely be informative and quite generic, and you'll absolutely need to put your own tone of voice onto it, your own personality, obviously your own business specific details, but you'll need to play around a lot with the flavor of it.
Yeah. And also it's being generated from copy and that's already been written and already out there. So if you are wanting something unique and different, it may not offer that, but it might be a good base to work from.
It's a good just trigger for ideas. Yeah. And showing you how things could be. Yeah. But if you treat it with that pinch of salt, then absolutely, it's a handy tool.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a tool. And I think that's the best way of looking at it. It's like, anything that we use, anything, it's just a tool to help us then be more creative and free us up from that blank page, which is always quite daunting. Yeah. Well, that's great. So just diving into Club, if people want to get involved with you, they like what you've talked about, what's the best way of sort of jumping into the Copy Cafe?
Well, have a look at the Copy Cafe homepage. The thing I wanted to mention, actually, there's a free download on the homepage.
I did notice that. Let me see if I can find that. How
to improve your writing. That one there, yes, in a matter of minutes. So you can grab a free copy of that. So to get involved with Copy Cafe, I'm very happy to have a discovery call with anyone who's interested. There's links on the homepage to just book to have a chat with me. You can get involved straight away as a free subscriber, and you get then a monthly roundup of my weekly top tips and a weekly quiz, which is good fun, just a triple test, quick fire quiz, multiple choice, no pressure, but good fun. And yeah, there's essential or consultancy memberships, depending on your needs. You can access, there's a private Facebook group to share ideas and challenges in. I hold fortnightly Copy Cafe clinics or live Q&A sessions where people can bring challenges and we can work something out.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. So it's like it's keeping people in practice of writing.
Absolutely. It's designed to be a safe and happy, a fun place, a fun and friendly place where people can feel comfortable trying things out, because we don't want to just work on it at our own desks and then send it out into the world and kind of cross our fingers and hope that we did it right. It's designed to be that kind of testing zone, and try out different tones of voice, see what works, get feedback, see what others have experienced, see that whether others are feeling the same kind of fear or uncertainty as you are. So it's designed to have that sort of community feel. Like I said, there's a resource library. You've got access to me for quick queries. You can buy Power Hour, Clarity Call, all the extras, whatever you need, as and when you need it. If there's something that isn't obviously available to you, let me know whether you need it and we'll make it happen. Designed to be very tailored and very flexible, because, as small business owners, we don't always want to sign up for something and know that we have to use it. There is no.
Sometimes it's about commitment. Yeah, sometimes it's about having that time. You just don't have that time, or you don't have that need all the time. So being able to just dip into the level you want is valuable. Yeah,
it's designed to be very pick and mix. So there's no contract commitment. There's a solid value guarantee that there's a money back guarantee if you don't have value within the month. You can jump in, dip out as and when you need it. Access my particular brand of brain and get the help and the ideas and the support that you need.
Sounds good. And you can find it at copycafe.co.uk. Is that the best place people can go? Right.
Absolutely. Brilliant. All the links are on there. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll make sure that's linked in our notes. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming on. It's been really good. We've obviously had a conversation offline, but it's nice to share that with other people, because I do think, certainly just going back to what we were starting with, when we build websites, copy is where people get stuck. And I know you're saying Helen found that too. It's where everyone gets stuck all the time. If a project's going to overrun, it's because of copy. And it's a really daunting subject for people. So anything that can help move people through that, not get them to worry about it so much, and actually make it a fun process, because it's really core to good communications, I think is absolutely essential. So if anyone's struggling with that, definitely speak to you, Kyla. Thank you very much. I'll just let people know what's happening next week. So we've got an open club. So that's where I help guests improve their website or marketing. So we sort of pull things apart and see if we can find some interesting ways that they can improve what they're doing, whatever their challenge is. But other than that, we're here every Friday from 10 a.m. If you want to ask a question or be a guest like Kyla, just email support@ratherinventive.com. And remember, all of our episodes, we're coming up to 100 episodes, are available on ratherinventive.com/club. That's ratherinventive.com/club. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for coming on, and we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.